name is Wande Adams. I'm a contributor at Leverage. Welcome to Leverage. I have with me the one and only Uzoma Dozie. Uzoma, how you doing?
I'm good.
I was the bulb.
I like this space. I like the space. It's really.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Did you have a good time with our guys?
It was. In fact, what I was talking to them, I just thought these guys, I'm always trying to read the room to see if what I'm saying is relevant. And then, so I guess it was because after that the question just couldn't stop. So,
but you weren't getting the facial expression.
Yeah, facial expression. They were like, that you can't tell with these people these days. You can't tell at all. At the end.
That's good. All right, so let's jump into it. So you are Uzoma Dozie.
Yes.
Tech Turks. You interviewed me. We had a very good conversation around tech talent. Then Sparkle, Diamond Bank. Can you just tell us who is Uzoma Dozie in your own words, outside of everything we've read?
Out of all that, I know that's a interesting question. I think I found that it was very difficult. If you ask me this question, Uzoma, so what drives you, what motivates you? It would be difficult for me to explain. And then one of the things that I did when I was in Diamond Bank, and I think my predecessor, I have to give him some credit to that, Alex. Everybody was interviewed before they got hired. He actually spoke to them, right? And so he was the final person. Now you might think, my God, we had 10,000.
It was a big company.
But what we find, because we're so big, right? That might be the only opportunity that you ever see the MD.
Yeah.
So if you had actually gotten through the whole process, then the last conversation was with the MD, and a few people, didn't get through that. It wasn't a fait accompli. They had to speak to them. But it was one opportunity because some people might end up in Kaduna, Sokoto, so you might never see the MD. So you came down. So either we actually went to Abuja or I know when people ask, I always ask any questions for me, and they will ask you questions about what motivates you, what drives you, and it was sometimes very difficult to actually explain it. But when I look back now at all the things that excited me and that have motivated me, it's so funny. It's just that what drives me is to be part of change, be part of impact, to help people. And when I look at the things that I am doing today, the things I did on today, the area that interested me, I started banking in oil and gas, but it was a sector that didn't need my help.
Yeah,
I was just a cog in the wheel of progress. But then when we started retail, financial inclusion, right?
Absolutely,
that was very exciting.
That's
right?
Impactful.
That was doing stuff that for people that was going to change, that was transformational to their lives. And so that's where the excitement comes in. And when I look at Tech Talks, why did we start Tech Talks? It was this band of small new businesses coming. We didn't really understand it. But we saw it as a platform that we could derive multiple benefits.
Absolutely.
The first one was re-understanding. Second was actually relearning, them telling the story to other people, and then them using that platform for credibility. And a few of those, when I look at Tech Talks, a few people that have gone on Tech Talks have become unicorns before. When I look at, we interviewed Paystack, the likes of Paystack and Flutterwave. A few have gone down, of course, because that is the nature of
the nature
of the beast. And we interviewed about 200 people, but we have learned a lot. We've also even created awareness for some of these companies. So we've gotten emails or questions from people asking for contact details of the people that we interviewed. And so now we're even trying to make it bigger. And so our website, so it's I was talking to the co-host today about data, so we have this wealth of information that was in YouTube, in different parts of YouTube, and was how do we consolidate it so people can actually go there and see a bit of history as well. And also, if I ask people, okay, come on Tech Talks, at least there's something that they can that we have history platform, and we have track record. So so that was the same excitement. And then of course Sparkle now, and Sparkle is exciting because one, we have an opportunity to leverage on the latest of technologies, leverage on even the human capacity in Nigeria. I like what you guys are doing in terms of helping people develop skills, because those are the skills that are actually required. The biggest problem today that we have is just people.
It's people.
It's just people, and people so no matter how great my ideas are, I'm always thinking, who can help me execute it?
You need people to do the
You
work.
need people to do the work. And so I just wrote this article now on Medium about the big businesses, right, and the power of small business. And I know when we first started the Sparkle, it was like, okay, we're going to work with this big organization. They're going to help us. But then, I realized that these big organizations actually, the culture is different.
Yeah.
The systems, the legacy, and even their thinking, right? So they might talk about, they know, and everybody knows how to talk about technology and how they can use technology, but who's applying it, who's using it, who's making the changes. I'm sure you have stories. I mean, your story is completely different from somebody who can talk about, co-working space. But if you leave co-working space, you know the intricacies and
absolutely.
how it is. But I mean, so for me, it's like, I'm excited about Nigeria. So people ask me, why won't you leave there? It's a learning environment, right? And there's a lot of things that are going to happen. So now, okay, we have a new political regime, but the fundamentals are still there. There's a lot of problems. There's opportunity to leverage on technology, and if we can just have some changes in legislation, if we can just have some improvement in certain areas of infrastructure, power, technology, then I think we can do the rest. Really.
I totally agree with you, and again, in a nutshell, now is getting to know Uzoma Dozie. Is you're interested in making impact,
yes,
and you're excited about Nigeria. And let's talk about those two things because we're very aligned on them.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, here at the Bob, our core values are impact, excellence, and love. Right. So impact in the work that we do. Right. We're starting to think that Nigeria has lived on the idea of natural resources, the resources that are under our feet. And now we need to start to leverage human resources and the intellectual property in our head. And so that's why, we're grooming talent here. We're feeding a pipeline of talent here. And then we're also building companies. So we also have a fintech, right, that we built. So when it comes to Sparkle, you left Diamond Bank and you could have set up another bank easily, right? But you chose the route of, that impactful financial inclusion, right? Why that route, and what have you been able to achieve with that, and where do you see yourself going with Sparkle?
Okay, so why that? Because I think I had the fortune of working in those two segments, small business and individuals, in a traditional bank that was building out digital solutions to expand its market, right? So we've always leveraged on technology at Diamond Bank right from the beginning. But working in that space, I began to see the limitations of traditional, right? Yeah. I began to see because the limitations are one, people and cost, right? And tech and systems. And so for me, it was the problem we're trying to solve with small businesses cannot be done by human intervention. You cannot throw human beings at it because you have 40 million small businesses. In Diamond Bank, I think we had close to 500,000 businesses. But how many relationship officers did we have to help them? And then if you wanted to provide loans or different services, you can't do that. It has to be a self-service approach. So it's a man and machine working in perfect harmony. That's the kind of system that you require. And so, for me, we were great at coming up with solutions, but in terms of scaling it and in terms of taking it down the pyramid and adding more solutions to it, it had to be a digital solution. And like I said, for me, I knew exactly what I was going to do when I left Sparkle. It was one, for individuals, I'm going to build solutions around exactly what they do today. And it was an opportunity to start from first principles, white sheet of paper, and say, okay, what is that people do? What is it I want to do from a financial perspective, right? I don't want to think about it. I want to be able to pay people when I pay them. I want to be able to save without paying. I want to be able to connect to other platforms, right? So I don't want to pay bills. So nobody wants to pay bills. I want to do things, but I want to do those things seamlessly without thinking about it. Then I want to see. I believe that we can take technology and not provide financial services for small businesses, because every bank is doing that already.
Every bank.
How do you make it different? It was like, okay, and it was like, and it was so like, and the typical problem people sprout out about small businesses is that access to finance, access to market, and access to advisory services. But there's access to tax services, access to business support services that is not there. So for us, it was an opportunity to build it into a solution, so that I can wake up today and really, because there are many problems in Nigeria, so many problems need many businesses to solve it. I don't think the big businesses can solve those problems. I think it's the engine of growth is small business, but we need to empower them. We need to provide them a platform to capture data, to take better, make information. And so that's where we thought Sparkle business. So, and we thought about it not from just, you've started your business, okay, I want to start a business today, right? How do I do? I go to Sparkle. Sparkle, I come up with my name, Sparkle behind the scenes to help you get your
CSA registration.
Yes, we get, so that business inclusion is there.
Yeah.
You get your tax ID, you open your account, and you're started. You're still in your house, by the way. You have not left your house, right? You have an account. So that's all that ease of doing business. That's what we want. We want to make it as easy as possible for you, so you can focus on what you want to do, right? And all the things behind being captured as you need. So if you use Sparkle Business, right, religiously, all your information is captured. So you're going to see how you paid your staff. You're going to see how your inventory is moved. You're going to see your customers that paid, and you're going to collect your money painlessly. And then, so when you want someone to join your business, the information is there. When you want to get a loan, in fact, you want to get a loan from Sparkle, when we start lending, we will tell you like you're already pre-qualified.
Yeah.
So that's for us. So that's what I'm excited about, and I think I don't know what the new government is going to bring, but I do know that at least they have 4 years, because we were, like at the end of one era comes instability. What's going to happen? But now that the elections have come, they were relatively peaceful, and we have a new regime. Just give us a small enabling environment, and let's take care of the rest.
So how old is Sparkle now?
So Sparkle, we opened office in 2019. I think like to best employee. We started our business just maybe 3 days before lockdown.
Oh wow! So
we were supposed to launch 3 days.
so you're at the same
exactly.
Okay. All right.
So we're born out of lockdown.
Just about 3 plus years.
Yes.
What are the numbers like? What is adoption like? How many users? How many businesses are you supporting?
Okay, so we have a nail it. We have a nail it before you scale it approach. So most of our marketing has been below the lines, digital. We have about 170,000 customers, about 3,000 businesses.
That's not bad.
Not bad yet. We haven't started. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I want
build slowly and then.
I want to make sure that it is I should be able to use it before
absolutely.
Use it, right? I don't want to give you stuff that
absolutely.
I mean, use myself.
Those numbers are not bad at all. So on leverage, we also talk about regulations, and the reason why we do it is somebody might be watching and say, I want to build the next Sparkle, and it's not as easy as going on Sparkle to register that business and get a developer to build the app. So, and you know more about the regulator better than anyone in this market, and that's because you've done it at the traditional level, and now you're doing it at Sparkle. So how's CBN doing with you?
The CBN, I guess CBN is doing okay with us because I guess we try to manage expectations and communicate. And that's what one of the things that I was talking about with the course was about transparency. Yeah. Once you're transparent, it's easier now because it's open with and when you have a good relationship with CBN, they actually give you advice. So they actually advise you on how to do certain things. Because
so would you say that, because a lot of people in the ecosystem, they've complained about CBN, especially in this current administration that's leaving. Would you say your experience is different?
So I would say that I have experienced a few regulators, Nigeria, outside Nigeria, Europe, Africa, and in the end, I think I would say now at the strategic level, I think we've done a lot in Nigeria, but maybe in communicating and engaging, we're not as good as we can be, right?
I think you have a very good point there, because even all the way to the government, I always complain about the PR. Like, the good things that they're doing, they don't even...
They don't sell it well.
They don't sell it well.
It should be a business, because they're coming out with good products, but like, product doesn't sell itself, right?
Yeah.
And that engagement with people and selling it and socializing it,
Yeah.
that is where I think. I think that I'll tell you that I think the INR is actually wonderful for government, because government is the big employer of labor. So, like, if government has a problem with collections and distributing aid to people, the INR is the perfect place. It's also a nice way to also promote cashless as well. But the dialogue, the PR.
But does the central bank have business doing that, or should? I think it's a good idea too, right? And I think that governments across local, state, and federal, they've come up with good ideas. But I've always asked myself, do they have a business in doing that? For example, Lag Ride. Does the government has a business in building its own Uber?
Okay, so the government will tell you, so like, you know, you can argue for and against debate. So I would say that for what CBN's role in Naira, CBN is responsible for money distribution, money supply. Now, if you want to understand where your money is going to, a good way of doing that is to actually introduce digital money. So digital money means that I know where the money is, I know what the velocity of money. I can collect money, I can trace money, especially taxation. I can help. Because central bank role is for financial system stability, money supply, but also to help the arms of government manage money, especially with the treasury system. So that's a good way. But how they have sold it, I mean, like, I don't have that. I don't have that information. On the likewise, that's a very interesting question. But I would say, okay, and it depends on what your motive is. So why am I building? So if I want social inclusion, if I want financial inclusion, first of all, I must develop society. Part of society is transportation, food, health, and stuff like that. So if I want to be financially included and pay taxes, right? To be included, there must be a benefit. I must see a benefit. Now, if you tell me Lag Ride is trying to create that transport infrastructure, but is it going to be using the same system? Are we going to be digital? Are you going to say, okay, chaps, you guys, for those who are disenfranchised, get your identity, register, and then you can get 50% off on your rights. Now,
that makes a lot of sense.
There's a reason to be social included.
That makes a lot of sense.
So but it's how you do it, and it's how you tell the story. This is why we're doing it, so that we can bring these people on board, and so like everybody shares the story. And
and there's also so why won't you partner with the shuttlers and rider, the local ride-hailing businesses that have been built here? But I think you make a good point. I think the most important thing is, for everyone that wants to do business, especially in fintech, you'd have to worry about regulators. And then you said something that I really like, which is be transparent. And that's one thing that the young founders in the fintech space need to learn. When we started Settle, I think we used to say we didn't want to be regulated. And people would laugh at us like, look at these guys, they want to build fintech, they don't want to be regulated. And our idea was we thought we could work with regulated financial institutions, regulated insurance companies, and then full circle, we had to do with regulators. And so it's important for young people that are trying to get into this space to know how to engage. And you said transparency is the way.
I tell people, like, accountability is one of the most powerful tools that you can use to help keep you on course. And so, like, look, I have my business, but I have a board, right? And I have a very progressive board, but I choose people that will hold me to account. Because sometimes I actually need that. I need a higher. I think people need a higher.
But that thinking, so I partnered with someone one time, and I had like a small technical committee even before we put together a board, and the person was like, man, a board at a very early stage stifles you. And I'm like, dude.
Of course, I don't understand, because your board is I call it free consultancy. So choose a board. So like my board, I have somebody who has been done retail banking for many years. I have somebody who's in the in the retail industry. I have somebody who's in the music industry, and I have other people who's in finance. So I have people I can tap into and say, please help me do this.
So another advice you would give is get people you're accountable to.
Get people accountable to, that help you grow your business, but allow them to question you. So like I'm still terrified. I'm still terrified about board meetings because they're my friends, but they're going to ask me questions. It's a lot of work. They're going to ask me questions, and it's also good for your colleagues. Your colleagues know that your boss is attributed to somebody else.
I borrowed a book recently that tells you how to handle board of directors. It's important.
It is. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. You have to socialize.
So
people skills are important.
We've talked about the board. Let's talk about the team at Sparkle.
Yeah.
How are they helping you build this monster that you're building?
I mean, the team is everything. And to do that, I think you spoke about your cultures and values, and I think first of all, when we started Sparkle, it's like, this is how we want to work, right? This is how we want to live, right? And it was important to like living and working exactly. So one, the building is like a home, right? Yeah. Secondly, so our values are very simple. Like our values are human values, and I think they're born out of my experiences. Freedom,
Okay.
Freedom to express yourself, right? But freedom is also earned, right? So people just think like Nelson Mandela became free, but there was discipline in that. Yeah. There was discipline in that freedom. In fact, sometimes you have to work for your independence. And of course, transparency. We talk about transparency. It's very clear. And transparency, so that people can get used to. Like I think today many people are comfortable. Want to be comfortable, but I think we have to learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations because it just helps things get better. And so, like, I remember when the first time I became the CEO, the CEO of Diamond Bank, I could understand my predecessors. They used to say no, and I was wondering, my God, this is. Then you learn that saying no, more no's than yes, right? Is better for the organization, better for you in the long run. And it's because there are many great ideas, right?
Yeah.
And there will always be many great ideas. So just do the ones. So like, people will always come with good ideas, but you have to stay focused. You have to stay on track. Which means there's trust. But trust is the system, right?
Yeah.
Trust is like, these are the processes. This is how we live, and nobody's above it, including
But
myself.
Isn't trust hard? Because that leads me to the next question I was going to ask you about your team is quality talent is hard to find in this market.
Yeah.
And so how is that process for you, finding quality talent that you can then trust their work? Because I still find myself doing people's work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, as a startup, as an entrepreneur, one, you're going to, that's building a team. You're building a team. You're building skills. And some of these skills are skills that, you actually have to build because you're building a type of business that is not traditional and different from But do they come with the core essentials? So, like, when I look at my head of data, when I look at my first head of engineering who has left, but he still does consulting work for us. He was a geek, but today he was just, all he did was just work. But by the time he left, he was involved in, financial decision making. We exposed him, even on the creative side as well. And so, it's a learning organization. So, like, we're bringing people that, first of all, we believe, identify with the values that we have, that the way that we're going to work. We're bringing people that also are passionate about the idea of the journey that we're on, and that people are going to continuously learn. And so, even me at Spark in 2019 is different from me today.
From you today.
I've been humbled, right?
Yeah.
I've been humbled
I've been
humbled by my colleagues. I've been humbled by my customers, by the regulator, by my investors, and just the market. The market has been the biggest humbler. COVID.
Yeah.
What is that again? The SARS situation, global economic issues as well. So, like, so I remember just before we went to Sparkle, the market was on the up.
Yeah.
Then, of course, with COVID, everything has been down. So, but we're still here today. We learned a lot, and it's been an exciting journey. But the people, when I think of it, and the first 10 people were very, very key and instrumental in terms of.
Have you lost the first 10 people?
We have lost 70% of them.
So that's here. We find those people that have the core things that you talked about.
Yes.
And then what they're missing, we train them, right? And then we either lose them to school, we lose them to immigration, or we lose them to an offer that we can't match. That I'm even saying, bro, I'm rubbing their back, just go.
Just go, go. I wish you well. That's exactly it. I mean, like Japa, I mean, people have, I mean, a lot of the good hands left because they wanted a better place.
Yeah.
You can't offer a better environment for them. Then, of course, some people just wake up and get a fantastic offer. Because you're building a good product, they want the skills that you have developed, and somebody is offering them. And what you can't do much about it. You can't do much about it. So I think what, like any business advice to people I give it, identify who your A people are. You have A, B, and C people. Yeah. Hold on to your A people, and make your A people hold on to their own A people.
So I always say that that every business owner, especially in Nigeria, should now identify their talent and put them in two brackets. The ones that will get you there faster and the ones that will get you far.
Yeah.
Right? And as long as you recognize them, then you know. So the ones that will get you there faster just have replacements in mind.
Exactly. Because they will move faster.
Because they'll move fast, but they'll move. And the ones that will get you far, make sure you do everything to make them happy.
Exactly.
So that's really good. So is Sparkle profitable, or how is Sparkle funded?
So Sparkle is funded. I mean, so there was we've had three raises. The first two were initial. We seed investors. Then we did the rights issue. And then we now opened it up to Nigerians.
I was going to talk about that. I think you're the only one that can raise money locally.
Well, we can raise a certain amount locally. Now I think I think our next round. We're going to go further, but
that was impressive.
Yes,
that was impressive because I've always I had concerns about who owns Nigerian unicorns 10 years from now.
So we're still going to. I mean, like so Sparkle is going to be is for Nigerians by Nigerians to make Nigerians greater.
You're opening it up.
We're opening it up, but I believe that like my dream, like my idea about Sparkle from a long-term perspective is going to be. We want to be the first IPO digital bank in Nigeria.
Okay, digital bank.
Digital, yeah.
Because I was about to say Flutter is
pure digital bank.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the whole idea of digital and how you scale it is a trust issue.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, first of all, you have no physical locations.
Yeah.
And so ownership is important. Right? And if it's owned by the people who are benefiting from it, right?
Yes.
There's certain more trust, there's more accountability, and then the more you're regulated, the more trust. Yeah. So the more trust there is. Yeah. The reason why we got a banking license, was because we want to say we're trusted by the regulator, NDIC, trusted by to keep your money.
Yeah.
And if we now say that we want to be a public company, it means that we are being more into more.
Absolutely.
So that and trust brings skill.
So is there at any point where you open maybe like you're around to even your customers?
Oh, definitely. In fact, so like we're exploring that because there's certain rules. We have to look at rules, especially from SEC and Central Bank, on how we can do that. Because especially around crowdfunding, customers, there must be a certain thing that you must do in terms of the customer understanding exactly what they're buying into and clarity. Each regulator has different rules, but we have to. That's something in the pipeline for sure.
I mean, so when I think of Sparkle, I just think that this is the one that we own. Mm-hmm. Did you understand? Yes. Like that's the way I think about it. So that's very good. So tell us about your challenges. What in what area? Because we've talked on so many things. We touch on regulators, we touch on the team, the board, the customers, the environment. Which one would you say is most challenging, and how are you dealing with it?
I think the biggest challenge will always be talent. For me, because we have a roadmap. We have services that we want to roll out. And then we have new technologies coming out. So for me, it's, do you have the people that understand, people like you, that understand and will help you execute? So that's the challenge. So like, we all have great ideas, but do we have people like, it's like a football team, right? You have strikers, defenders, midfield, and everything. But can they deliver? Right? Can we deliver on the goal? And so our goal is to, redefine how commerce is done in Nigeria. Our goal is to help people be the best of their new technology. And then we have a roadmap to do that. But then again, now we need the people. We need the gladiators. So people are always going to be a challenge. People that buy into the ideas. People that, and then and for them, it's not just about the talent. It's about the enabling environment for them to actually do that. And we're talking about it now. So if a guy is brilliant and is committed, that that he fears for his life, he doesn't live in a good place, he's going to go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And so that will always be a challenge for us. So if I'm just like hoping that this new government that is coming in, just focus on that enabling environment, because one, there's security. Right? There's a chance people will start coming back to Nigeria. It's also difficult elsewhere. But where there's security, that's a defining reason to stay where you are.
I mean, that's a good point, because if you think about it, when I talk to people that have left this country, the reason why they're leaving is basic things. I want to be able to turn on the tap and there's clean water. I want to be able to get home and there's power. I don't have to worry about diesel. I want to be able to get from point A to point B without having to worry. So I get it, but if I've had this conversation so many times with so many people, either I'm interviewing someone or I'm interviewing someone, and we're all aligned to what the problem is. Our biggest challenge is talent. If our biggest challenge is talent, why employers investing in talent? One, I must give you kudos, because you're one that's investing in talent. You've discussed partnering with the board to train some women, right? But we need more people to do that, because if we don't continue to feed the pipeline with talent, the ones you have right now will leave. So why do you think people are not investing in talent?
Because I think it's a leadership issue. And so I even talk about, and leadership is key. So we need good, so like, show me a good state, I'll show you good leadership. Show me a good company, I'll show you good leadership. Leadership is a defining, because people follow. And so like when we talk about, and I will talk about leadership, and I talk about digital, there's no organization, like I say, the reasons why that bank was a great retail bank, or Sparkle is because we lead from the top, right? So like, we use our solutions ourselves. So like, I remember at Diamond Bank, nobody was allowed to bank as a staff. Nobody was allowed to use checkbooks. So that if we say that we're going to leverage on technology, then we're going to use it ourselves. And if we understand it, we can sell it to our customers. And our customers that are using it will feel the pain that our customers are feeling.
I think that's a very good feedback.
That are feeling. So that leadership is very, very key. And so like, we talk about leadership, digital in Nigeria, but then I ask people, okay, so like, how show me how you lead a digital life. So show me how you can show people that it's not about school, but we're very good Nigerians. We are brilliant people. We're brilliant at talking and communicating and selling, right? Maybe that's why our music is so good. And telling stories, right? So we can tell stories, but how many people live those stories and execute those stories? Right? And the sooner we have more people living those stories, then you will begin to see. Because how is it that we travel around the world, we see things, but when we come back, because we travel, Nigerians travel, Nigerian leadership travel. But how come we're not bringing those ideas? Back here.
I was on a plane with two ministers.
In quantity.
I was on a plane with two ministers going, and I was looking at them like this, and they were in awe of what they were experiencing. And I'm like, You are ministers. Yeah. But anyways, so would you say that there are more managers leading companies than leaders?
Yeah, I mean, like, so there are more managers. Well, you know, like if I look at businesses, actually a lot of entrepreneurs in Nigeria. So like you have 14 leaders. But I think the big organizations are being managed, right? And that's because they are established. Yeah. But you know, they're going to be employing a lot of entrepreneurs in the future, because for you to change that organization, it's not the manager that changes. Yeah. You need an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And I remember, like, when I did my MBA, I remember it was an Imperial College, and they had this school of entrepreneurship. Then I was thinking, what is this? So I did a course on that, and now I begin to appreciate that for there to be changing. And in fact, we're going to go through a lot of change when you think of the public sector, the private sector, education. Yeah, you need change there, because you cannot. It needs a lot of change, because the curriculum needs to be changed. The way people are taught needs to be changed. And so you're going to need change leaders.
The teachers need to be trained and changed.
Exactly. So everything. So then when you think of agriculture, even look at entertainment. What you're doing here, and this is right? And so you have to look at what education. Education is not about going to school anymore. Education is about retooling people, right? By making them relevant to the new economy. Yeah. And so it's a lot of work, but you need the right type of leadership that understands what the problem is and what tools they can use to make that change and make that impact.
Absolutely. So you've mentioned government about 5 times in this conversation, and I think it's so.
First of all, I don't go new government because the new government is going to have a lot of problems. So it needs leadership certain areas, right? I believe that quite a few Nigerians, right? Because it's not about, actually, it's about, I mean, like, when I look at Sparkle, I tell people that I've been working at bank for 25 years, right? So people, my relevant experience is about 3. Because banking in 1993 completely different from banking today. And so I'm not going to start telling people that I have, the experience I have is about 3 years old. And so it's people because I understand that my experience is about 3 years old. I'm going to get people that are going to help me to grow the business. Look, Sparkle was built by less than 20 people. When I think about it, and it's built by people who are 90% under the age of 30, and that they are all Nigerians. Yeah, and so there's definitely talent in Nigeria. But what it requires, I think, what I bring to the table is my experience, is my exposure experience about things that have failed, and leadership that has failed, and leadership. So that's what we need. And so I can recognize that I can't do it myself, and I need people, and I'm there to serve them, not to be served by them.
Not to be served by them, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that is, and that is leadership for you. And if you look, you know, and like one of my mentors, I always say, Alexander the Great, right? A king in a very small country, capturing half of the world. How did he do it? Great leadership. Yeah. People followed and believed and did more.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Uzoma. This was really good. You have been leveraged.
Oh, I like that. Thanks.